Okay. I know it hasn't I know it has been a while since I last did a stream. For some reason, when I was trying to do it on my laptop with my headphones that have the oh yeah, the mic attached to it, I don't even know why the sound didn't come out. So hopefully you guys can hear me much better. I have the laptop, close to my face, so yeah, you guys can hear me okay, right? Everyone, can you hear me okay? I hope you guys can hear me fine. All right. So if anyone's in the chat, feel free to say hi. Hello, Christian Anderson. Hello, Drew C. Hello, Robin, the fan of steel. Yep. Okay, guys. Awesome. You guys can hear me. Hello, there's CJB Studios. Hello, there's Blaze the Firewolf. Welcome. So glad you guys can all hear me. Um, I will be getting started with the storytime stream in a bit, but first I thought, I'll take a little bit so you guys can, pop on by and see me and, chat with me for a bit before we get started. So, yeah. Okay. I will be finding a story to narrate right on the chat in a bit, for the stream in a bit. But I thought, let me take this time for you guys to get on, get settled in, etc. Hey, Steph Bayona, how are you doing? Wow. Well, this weekend was certainly a surprise. Like I think I found out that yeah, the old CEO of YouTube is no longer there. Although I did hear some things about the new one that are not good, but I'm not going to do any judging or anything cuz yeah, I'm not going to do any judging until I see it for myself cuz as they say, you can't judge a book by its cover. For or is it don't judge a book by its cover? I guess it's just one or the other. So feel free to leave a like on the stream if you haven't done so. I just thought I would do a early live stream because I feel like it. I know I haven't done any streams in a while. I've been so busy. Not to come across as mean, but is something wrong with your voice? No, there's nothing wrong with my voice. CJB Studios. My voice has always been like that. Like I'm not sick or anything because if I was sick, you guys would honestly see it right away in my voice. This is just the way how I sounded like. I mean, if it's because I'm on the laptop, yeah, it could be because I sound different because I don't have the headphones with that microphone thing. I'm going to look into maybe getting a new one and then I'll try using that. So, but I'm not sick or anything for any of you guys wondering. Don't judge a book by its cover. That's what it is. Oh, okay. I know it was something that went around the lines, so that's why I was kind of trying to remember. So, yeah, guys, feel free to leave a like on the stream if you have not. I bet you if Charmex heard about Susan retiring, he would possibly be very happy, even though he quit YouTube. Well, it's hard to say. I mean, with Charmex, because I really wish Charmex would come back, because Charmex was amazing. I'm not going to lie. I really hope he does decide to return someday, but like I said, I can't really say if he will or not. But it would be awesome if he did, but I don't think he's ever coming back to YouTube. But I'm sure Charmex would be pretty happy if that news got to him or something. Who knows, to be honest. Oh, well, for some reason it sounds a bit lower. I guess maybe that's just my voice being the way it is. It's always been like that. I don't know what it is, but my voice has always been sounding the same ever since I was younger. I don't know what it is, though. So, all right. I just saw that new Ant-Man, decent at best, 6 out of 10. Just go for the Michael Douglas Hank Pym. Oh, nice. I've not seen that new movie yet. So, all right. Um, I do apologize for not streaming, as frequent. But I'm trying to stream at least once a month because I've just been so busy with, my real life getting all crazy and hectic and me looking for stories to narrate that are good. I'm also writing some news stories and etc. I'm writing a new Loud House story, and it's going to be involving Benny and Luann, and they're both aged to 21, and It's going to be called More Than Just Us. I don't exactly know when it will be finished though, but I'll try and finish it up whenever I get the opportunity. It did surprise me. Kangaroo Jack is free to watch on YouTube. I honestly don't recommend the 2003 live action movie. I think I saw it once when I was a kid, Blaze the Firewolf. I just can't remember how old I was when I saw it. My voice is like a similar situation. I naturally just sound like Batman. Well, that's cool. Did you see my meme clip I made of the Asagi series? It's the Peter I'm. Oh, I did see it, Seth. It was pretty funny. I mean, if someone donated that to Bill Jensen would honestly scream. It's always funny to see him scream. I made his post on Scooby-Doo too when Shaggy and Scooby drank the potions. I remember that scene. That was the one where first Scooby-Doo turned into a monster and then he turned into Tasmanian Devil from Looney Tunes. And there was one part where Shaggy turned into a girl. Oh my god, that made me laugh. It was funny. Hello there, Danish Kumar. How are you doing? You should check it out. My guess is a yellow one. Okay. Hello, Colton. Welcome. All right, we'll be getting started on the Storytime stream. I'm just going to take a look at online at the stories. So, what kind of stories do you all want to see? Hello, Vince. Welcome. There is a new Marvel called Quantumania. That's interesting. Yeah, guys, feel free to leave this story a like and possibly share it if you want. I'm not saying you have to share it, but if you want to, that's fine. Okay. Let me look at some creepypastas on here and I'll see which ones we want to read. Like for the live stream. I might read at least a few stories on here. Alrighty. This is why I'm reading from my phone for any of you guys wondering. Oh, excuse me. Oh man. Let's see. Hello, Radka Baker. Good day or evening. Good morning. Well, afternoon almost. Oh boy, story time. How about a Batman story? You know what? I think there is a Batman creepypasta. Let me see if I could find a good Batman one. I know there was a good Batman one I did read 2 years ago, so let me see if I can find it. I know it's in this wiki that I'm at. All right, let me see if I can find it. I know it's in here somewhere, and I'm looking. Fear of Victory. I found a Batman creepypasta. Batman Man the Fan of Steel. It's definitely called Fear of Victory. So, all right. So I'm gonna be reading this in a minute, but let me see what everybody thinks. Speaking of DC, if you had to dress up as a character from Teen Titans, who would it be? Hey, that rhymes. That would have to be Raven, because I've always liked Raven from Teen Titans. Ever since I was a kid, I've always liked Raven. I thought she was like a really cool character. Yes, I know she's kind of goth and style in that, but you know, it's still pretty good. So, anyways, I think we should get started with this story called Fear of Victory. It's the lost episode of Batman. I did look up some movies on Scooby-Doo movies. Aloha, Scooby-Doo, and the Pirates one. I watched it when they air on Cartoon Network. If you do rewatch and these and the others, I might consider doing them for Shadows and Pretties if I ever get the time. That's what I thought. I think you'd be great as Raven. I actually dressed up as Raven for Halloween one year. I love that one. I actually read it as Batman. Oh, nice. Okay, let's get started with this story. So, any comments that I don't get to read, I will be reading them eventually. I'm writing a new Home Alone Lost in Troll Pasta, but it's called Home Alone Lost in China and North Korea. Main characters is not important. Oh, nice. Can't wait to see that, Seth. Really, I'd like to see that. Yeah, I think it was because I was younger. I think I have a photo of it somewhere at CJB Studios. I don't know where it is. It's probably in storage, but if I can find it, I'll definitely show it. Sorry I'm late. Oh, it's all right, Odd Ferret Studios. You're not. Can you do more shows and praise on them? Sure, I can. Whenever I get the time, I'll definitely consider it. Hello, Nick Cooper. I'm doing pretty good. How about you? All right, guys, let's get started with this story. So, if I miss any comments, I will get to them after the story. Fear of victory? Let's get started. I have to admit, I am always a big fan of Jonathan Crane, aka the Scarecrow in the Batman universe. It's a fascinating character with a twisted personality, and he always was my favorite Rouge in the BTAS. So when my best friend told me that there was a lost episode in which Jonathan was changed back into a kid, I was like, hell yeah, just give me the DVD. And she did. Thinking about it, I guess, I should have been very wary. My best friend was never fond of Batman. Indeed, she had always thought as my sick passion for this cartoon was kind of weird. But at the same moment, I was just too happy to be suspicious, and when she gave me the DVD, I could only think about one thing, thinking about it as soon as I could. I got home earlier than usual that day. One of my teachers was sick, and I left school in a hurry, eager to watch that lost episode. I put the DVD in the drive and then sat on the couch with a bowl of soda crackers. Everything started normally. Batman was chasing Scarecrow down Gotham streets, with Robin, of course. Jonathan ran into a dark alley and hid beside a dumpster, looking tired and sick. He was paler and skinnier than usual, cold sweat over his face, and I immediately thought that he might have been drugged or something like that. The camera got back to Batman, who was still looking for the villain, looking very worried. Haven't found him yet? Asked Robin. He can't have gone too far. Dr. Boffermo said that he was weaker than the kitten when he escaped. That's what I'm afraid of, Robin. A weak and scared scarecrow is a very dangerous scarecrow. But we are here to help him, for goodness sake, Batman. It's not like we're going to hurt him. I am fully aware of that, but the man isn't. Remember, he is sick. I don't know why, but I begin to feel very uncomfortable here. Batman was usually very calm and confident, and at this moment, well, let's just say it clearly, he seemed scared. Very scared. Of what I didn't know was for sure, I wanted to know. A part of me wanted to run to turn off the TV, but another part of my brain was like, no, don't. Jonathan is in trouble. That will be nice. But just to see the Batman helping him for once. So I just sat there, unable to get my eyes off of the screen. The camera got to black to Jonathan, who was now sitting on the floor. His heartbeat was literally deafening, and it seemed to be in great pain. That's when things started to go wrong. The scarecrow screamed. A scream that was so shrill and so loud that I literally jumped down from my couch out of pure fright. He spat blood, and lots of blood, and his body started to convulse. His eyes were so bloody red on his face, and his face was paler than a ghost. I swear to God I wanted to turn off the TV. I never wanted so much as to turn off that damn TV. But it was like I was paralyzed by fear. I could just take a look at the damn screen, wondering what was going on, and I was just thinking, what the hell is this? Then it all ended. Jonathan stopped moving. It was like he had just died there in the dark alleyway. His screams alerted the dynamic duo. Batman and Robin arrived in the scene within seconds, and they took a look at they had across their faces was pure terror. The camera slowly turned back to Jonathan, or at least what was left on him. There was a pile of bloody clothes, and just sitting there with rags, you could see a red-haired kid who looked very frightened. He looked at Batman with Robin with tear-filled eyes. Professor Crane? Robin asked carefully. Do you recognize us? The kid was silent for a while as he got up on his feet. His face was all covered in blood, but that didn't seem to bother him. Dimwits, he said, smiling. Robin and Batman looked at each other with relief, and I'll have to say I was quite happy to see Jonathan Crane was to himself. I sat back down on the couch. Now I knew why this episode was never aired. It would have been far too scary for kids. Batman caught the kid in his arms and wrapped him up in his cape. Jonathan didn't even fight back. He seemed pretty sleepy. I thought that he was going to be happy to be safe. They had brought him back to Arkham, um, explaining the situation to Dr. Bartholomew. At this point of view, the episode, I felt like I was a kid in front of the Christmas tree. Now everything was starting to go back to normal, and I knew that I was going to enjoy this episode. The 5 minutes following were annoying, in my opinion. It was about Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn and their own damn maternal instinct. And I want to cuddle you, and I want to read you a good night story, and so on. Boring. But after the horrifying scenes, I had wished I had wasn't going to complain. No, sir. The time passed rather quickly, and Jonathan was still stuck in a kid's body. Things weren't too fun for him anymore. The other inmates were just tired of having to take care of him, and the doctors were treating him like a toddler. One night, Batman came to the asylum to see if everything was okay. He found Jonathan sitting on his bed, looking very depressed and lonely. How do you feel, Professor? The Cape Crusader asked. Dr. Bartholomew told me you were quite more remorse. Who wouldn't be? I hate being a child. I shouldn't have experimented this new toxin on myself. Look at me. I'm a freak. I was waiting for a comforting speech from Batman, but he wasn't there anymore. Instead, there was a new note on Jonathan's door. Hang yourself. I felt a shiver down my spine. Who could have written such a horrible note, Batman? No, that was insane. Jonathan looked at the piece of paper, and for a moment he paused. He didn't seem to went back. But of course, the screen went black. The next morning, a nurse came in and all the inmates' cells to see if everything was okay. When she entered Jonathan's cell, there was a moment of silence. Then she ran away screaming as if she saw the most horrible thing ever. The camera entered the cell very slowly, no music, just the sound of a loud, very loud heartbeat. And there it was, grown up again. His face twisted into a horrifying expression of pain, a noose around his neck. Jonathan, I screamed, and I think I'll never stop screaming. Wow, that was a pretty disturbing Batman creepypasta. Not gonna lie, that one was a pretty disturbing one, in fact. Oh, geez. Hello, Actually Attack. Welcome. For funny pastas, I would personally recommend the troll pasta because they seem to have very good moderation team from what I have seen. Oh, nice. So I'm thinking of making a lost episode creepy pastas and funny pastas, but I don't know when I'm ready. Don't know when. I already made a spin pasta account. Well, to be honest, Odd Ferret Studios, if you want to start writing a story, like a lost episode story or funny pasta or whatever, try and make it as good as you could get it. Like, give it all you got. Like, even if it's not the best. Like, I mean, I'm not really the best writer, but however, I have written some stories that were bad, some that were okay, mediocre, some were good. But hey, I at least managed to write them pretty decently. Hello, Kaylin the White Werewolf. Welcome. Would like to see Jeff, Jane laughing, Jack the Pocket, Zalgo, and others in it too. Ooh, that'd be nice. Reminds me, Caitlin the White Werewolf. I'm going to make you a moderator. There we go. I'm confused, guys, because I just noticed when there's two moderators. There's a managing moderator and there's a standard moderator. I think I'm going to give her the standard moderator. There you go. I don't know what the difference is between the both of them. Okay, thanks for the advice, Queen. No problem. Creepy, yep. So, guys, what's the difference between the standard moderator and a managing moderator? I'm honestly not sure because that is something new I've never seen. I like that story, Queen. I'm glad you do. I'll be looking at a different story in a minute, but I thought, we'll chat here. I am the manager. Oh, okay. Well, this is something new. I never expected them to do that. That's pretty new. I'll have to look that up. You know what? Let me look it up at the standard and managing moderator because this is something new. Because I've never seen that before. Have you heard Susan retired from you? I heard she did. Okay. I just researched on those. So, okay. So, I just did some research. So, a managing moderator has more permissions than a standard moderator. Okay. Now that's what I do know. As long as they're not abusing it, then it's fine. Who's cute? Dot or Benny? Dot is a cute one, actually. She is a really cute one. But yeah, I did hear some not great things about the new CEO, but I'm not gonna really judge or anything because I don't know if this new CEO is gonna be good or bad. I heard some not great things about him, so maybe that's just some people having their opinions, but I'm not gonna say anything because I don't know. So, all right, I'll be doing another story in a minute. I thought, you know what? Let me just chat for a bit. Let me see. YTP, why I don't go to the Waffle House with Jinx. Oh, she probably destroyed everything. I haven't done a Jinx video in like a few years. I just kind of lost interest in it because I've been busy. But hopefully, maybe if I have some motivation, maybe I might consider doing another Jinx video. But I don't know where it will be, though. That's honestly something I've been considering and doing. Oh, I love that story. Oh, the Batman one. Yeah, it was a pretty good one. No one said a Batman thing was going to be creepy. Okay, let me see. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I'm here. Hello there, Angry Juice Box. Welcome. YTP Caillou goes to Japan featuring the anti-lolicon bunch. Oh my goodness, that would be a very funny YTP. Luann X Benny is a pretty good ship. I like that one. I also like some other ships. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna read Dead Bart next. So somebody needs to look at the formidable robot. Why is that, Angry Juice Box? All right, guys. So I'm gonna be reading Dead Bart. So yeah, let's get started. You know how Fox has a weird way of counting Simpsons episodes? They refuse to count a couple of them, making the amount of episodes inconsistent. For this reason, there is a lost episode from season 1. Finding details about the episode is difficult. No one was working for the show at times like this to talk from apologies, I kind of stopped because I forgot. I know where it is now. What have been pieced together, the lost episode was written by Matt Groening. During the production of the first season, Matt started to act strangely. He was very quiet, yet seemed to be nervous and morbid. Mentioning this to anyone who was present results in them getting very angry and forbidding you to ever mention it to Matt. I first heard of it at the event while David Silverman was speaking. Someone in the crowd talked about the episode, and Silverman simply just left the stage, ending the presentation hours early. The episode's production number was 7G06. The title was Dead Bart, later labeled 7G06, Moaning Lisa. was made and later given Dead Bart's production code to hide the latter's existence. In addition to getting angry, asking anyone who was on the show about this will cause them to do everything they can to stop you from directly communicating with Matt Groening. At fan event, I managed to follow him after he spoke to the crowd and eventually had a chance to talk to him alone as he was leaving the building. He didn't seem upset that I had followed him, probably expected a typical encounter with an obsessive fan. When I mentioned the lost episode, though, all color drained from his face, and he started trembling. When I asked him if he could tell me the details, he sounded like he was on the verge of tears. He grabbed a piece of paper, wrote something on it, and then handed it to me. He begged me to never mention the episode again. The piece of paper had a website address on it. I would rather not say what is for reasons you'll see in a second. I entered the address into my browser and came into a site that was completely black, except for the line of yellow text. A download link, I clicked on it, and a file started downloading. Once the file was downloaded, my computer went crazy. It was having the worst virus I had ever seen. System restore didn't work. The entire computer had to be rebooted. Before doing this, though, I copied a file onto a CD, and I tried to open it on my new empty computer. And was as suspected, there was an episode of The Simpsons on it. The episode started off like any other episode, but it had a very poor quality animation. If you had seen the original animation for Some Enchanted Evening, it was similar, but it was less stable. The first act was fairly normal. By the way the characters acted was a little off. Homer seemed angrier, Marge seemed depressed, Lisa seemed anxious, Bart seemed to have a genuine anger and hatred for his parents. The episode was about the Simpsons going on a plane trip. Near the end of the first act, the plane was taken off. Bart was fooling around, as you expected. However, as the plane was about 50 feet from the ground, Bart broke the window on the plane and was sucked out. At the beginning of the series, Matt had the idea of the new animated style for The Simpsons would represent life and that death would turn things more realistic. This was used in the episode. The picture of Bart's corpse was barely recognizable. They took a full advantage of it not having to move and made a photo almost realistic drawing of his dead body. Act 1 ended with a shot of Bart's corpse. When Act 2 started, Homer, Marge, and Lisa were all sitting at their table crying. The crying went on and on. It got more pained, and it sounded realistic. Better acting than you think possible. The animation started to decay even more as they cried, and you could hear the murmuring in the background. The characters could barely be made out. They were stretching and blurring. They were like deformed shadows with random bright colors thrown on them. There were faces looking at the window, flashing in and out, so you were never sure what they looked like. This crying went on for all of Act 2. Act 3 opened with a title card saying 1 year passed. Homer and Marge and Lisa were skeleton thin, and they were still sitting at the table. There was no sign of Maggie or the pets. They decided to visit Bart's grave. Springfield was completely deserted, and as they walked into the cemetery, the houses, it became more and more decrepit. They all looked abandoned, and when they tried to get into the grave, Bart's body was just lying in front of the tombstone, looking as if they did at the end of Act 1. The family started crying again. Eventually, they stopped and it just stared at Bart's body. The camera zoomed in on Homer's face. According to the summaries, Homer tells a joke at this part, but it isn't audible in this version I saw. You can't tell what Homer's saying. The zoomed out of the episode to a close-up of the tombstone in the background, and the same names of every Simpson guest star on them. Some that no one had heard of in 1989. Some that haven't been on the show yet. All of them had death notes on them. For guests who died here, like Michael Jackson, George Harrison, the dates were all when they would die. The credits were completely silent, and it seemed handwritten. The final image was the Simpson family on their couch, just like the intros, but were all drawn hyper-realistic, lifeless style of Bart's corpse. The thought occurred to me after seeing the episode for the first time, as you could try using the tombstones to predict death of the living of Simpsons guest stars. But there is something odd about most of the ones who haven't died yet. All their lists are date as the same date. Oh man, that was a good classic story, although I respect people's opinions if they don't like them. Hello, I can see the Pink Wolf, welcome. SpongeBob SquarePants, Funny Pasta, the Krusty Krab is actually Burger King. That'd be fine. That'd be a good idea, title. I like Teen Titans Go. Well, it's your opinion, Ackley Attack. I respect your opinion. Yen. Dead Bart is an alright creepypasta in my opinion. I mean, it's not the best story in the world, but it's better than the death of Brother and Sister Bear. Yeah, it was. I thought this story was pretty good too. And like you said, it's definitely a classic. Yep. Alright, so I'm gonna be reading another story. I think I'm gonna be, reading smouse.avi. What I mean by S-mouse, yeah, I can't say the actual S word, but you guys know what I mean. Hello, the Bliss Smith. How are you doing? That was a Twisted Dark story. Yep, it was. Luann and Benny's OTP Week Loudhouse episode idea. Ooh, that'd be nice. I like to see that actually. That'd be kind of cool. Hopefully they do another more Benny and Luann episodes in the Loudhouse. I really hope we get more of that. That'd be awesome. Alrighty, so we're going to be reading smouse.avi. So, all right. So, is anybody ready? Like I said, if I missed your comments, I do apologize if I missed your comments. So, you know what? For Odd Ferret Studios, I am going to be adding him as a moderator. There we go. And yeah, guys, for those who have not seen my community post tab yet, I did get a new computer gaming mouse for Valentine's Day. It's the one that changes colors. It's all pretty nice, actually. When I got it from my brother for Christmas, I honestly almost kept his Christmas present because of how cool it was. And I started becoming jealous. I got one. My mom also got one because she became jealous because me and my brother had it. So... Sorry if I missed it. I was making another video for my channel. Well, it's all right. I'm ready. Let's do this thing. Okay. So do any of you remember those Mickey Mouse cartoons from the 1930s? The ones were just put it on DVD a few years ago. Well, I hear there is one unreleased to even the most avid classic Disney fans. According to the sources, says it's nothing special. It's just continuing this loop like the Flintstones of Mickey wandering past 6 billions that goes on for 2 or 3 minutes before fading out. Unlike the cutesy tunes put into it, though, the song on this cartoon was not a song at all. It was just constant banging on the piano for a minute and a half before going to a white noise for the remainder of the film. It wasn't the jolly old Mickey we've come to love either. Mickey wasn't even dancing, not even smiling, just normal kind of walking, as if you or I were walking, with the normal face expression. But for some reason, his head tilted to the side as he kept this dismantled look. Up until a year ago, everyone believed that after it cut to black and that was it. When Leon Arnold Maltin was reviewing the cartoon and to put it into a complete series, he decided it was a junk to be on DVD, but wanted to have a digital copy due to the fact that it was a creation of Walt. When he had digitalized the version up on his computer, he took a look at the file and he noticed something. The cartoon was actually 9 minutes and 4 seconds long. That was my source emailed to me in full. His personal assistant of the higher executives of Disney, acquainted by Mr. Moulton himself. After it cut to black, it stayed like that until the 6th minute before going back to Mickey walking. The sound was different this time. It was a murmur. It wasn't a language, but more like a gargled cry. As the noise got more indistinguishable, the loud over the next minute, the picture began to get weird. The sidewalk started to go in directions what seemed impossible based on the physics of Mickey's walking, and the dismal face on the mouse was slowly curling into a smirk. The 7th minute, the murmur turned into a blood curdling scream, like the kind of scream painful to hear. And the picture was getting more obscured. The colors were starting to happening that should have been possible at the time. Mickey's face began to fall apart. His eyes rolled on the bottom of his chin like two marbles in a fishbowl. His curled smile was pointing upwards on the left side of his face. The buildings came rubble floating in midair, and the sidewalk was still impossibly navigating in warped directions. A few seeming inconvincible with that as we humans, we know about the direction. Mr. Malton got disturbed and left the room, sending an employee to finish the video and take notes of everything happening up until the last second, and afterwards immediately stored the disc into the cartoon into the vault. This distorted screaming lasted until 8 minutes and a few seconds in, and then it abruptly cuts to Mickey Mouse, whose face in the credits, and at the end of every video, and sounded like a broken music box being played in the background. This happened for about 30 seconds, and whatever was remaining of the 30 seconds, I haven't been able to get a silver information about it. From a security guard walking under me who was making rounds and outside that room, I was told after the last frame that the employee stumbled out of the room with pale skin saying, "Real suffering is not known," 7 times, before speedily taking off the guard's pistol and offing himself on the spot. The thing I could get out of Leonard Malton was that the last frame was a piece of Russian text that roughly said, "The sights of hell brings its viewers back in." As far as I know, no one else has seen it, but there has been dozens of attempts to get the file on Rapid Share and by employees inside of the studios, all of whom have been terminated from their jobs. Whatever it got online or it's up for debate, but rumors have served me right. It's online somewhere under smouse.avi. If you ever find a copy of that film, I want you to never view it and to contact me by either by phone immediately. Regardless of the time, when a Disney death is covered up as well as this, it means this has something to be huge. Get back to me, TR. Yar. I've yet to find a copy of it, but it's out there somewhere. I know it. All right, that was smouse.avi. Pretty interesting. Yeah, it looks cool, Queen. Also, I'm a girl. Okay. Apologies for that, Ferret Studios. Holding hands, cuddling, watching a movie at Benny's house. Yeah, I mean, I've always liked the Benny and Luann ship. I thought it was really cute. Fascinating about a dark story. Yep, it was. YTP, the cat in the hat, tells a lot of cap. The sandwich mouse.avi. Oh my goodness. That would be a very silly YTP idea. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to take a look at. You know what? I think I'm going to read Plankton Got Served. But first, I think I'm going to use the bathroom. And I'm going to chat with you guys for a bit. So, yeah, I'm going to be using the bathroom. So I'll be right back. Oh, if any of your moderators on here, if you see any trolls come on here, you block them. Any moderators that see trolls, block them. Like, only block the trolls if they come on here while I'm in the bathroom. Okay, I'm back. Just had to use the bathroom, so. Alright. Yeah, it sounds like a title that Matthew Bumford would make for a funny pasta. Speaking of Matthew Bumford, I haven't seen him comment on my stuff in about a year, so I don't know if he I don't know what happened. I think maybe he's retired from doing YouTube or something, because every now and then he comments on my videos and say, something. I mean, I wish he would come back and do more of that more of the funny pastas, because a couple times he had sent me links to some of them. I don't even know if he's still on YouTube, or maybe he's retired, or maybe he's retired from doing YouTube or something. I mean, either way, if he does decide to come back, I really hope he comes back to viewing my stuff. Because, yeah, Matthew Bumford wrote pretty good stories. And as for the Dark Reindeer, I don't think he's ever going to come back to YouTube, but although it would have been nice if he did return. But like I said, if Dark Reindeer comes back, he comes back. But if he doesn't come back, then, well, I accept his decision. Alrighty. I love the Loud House, Teen Titans Go, and Simpsons. Loud House is pretty good. I like it. Speaking of the Loud House, did you manage to look at the post I made about 1 year celebrating 1 year anniversary of When It's Not the Same Anymore was written? I haven't taken a look at it yet, CJB Studios, but I will take a look at it sometime, maybe after the stream. Okay, so let's do another story. We're going to do Plankton Got Served. S-Mouse.avi is based on an actual video. Yep, that's what's pretty good about that story. Alrighty. Hello, Luna's Game World. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Alright, so we'll be reading Plankton Got Served. So, it's a good SpongeBob creepypasta. I honestly thought it was a good one. I actually have narrated on my backup channel, but I also narrated on my main channel as well, so you guys can check it out if you haven't. I've seen the actual smouse.avi video before. Oh, nice. Thank you enough for it. Oh, I'm really glad you liked my narration about it, CJB Studios. Alright. So we'll get started with Plankton Got Served. Yeah, it's a pretty good SpongeBob creepypasta. Yep, sure is. Benny's bath time goes wrong. Oh, let me guess. Luann probably pranked him by doing something crazy. Alright, let's get started. So, Plankton Got Served. I am sure many have heard of a lost episode creepypastas. They are usually incredibly graphic episodes, such as Convoys, such as Fear of Children, that never aired. Though someone managed to sneak into a viewing or owns of the tape. The most popular example, this being Squidward's Milkicide, in which Squidward takes his own life, hence the title. Of course, all these episodes are false, yet I still remember a SpongeBob episode that was altered heavily, but still remains in circulation today. This is One Course Meal from Season 7. In the episode, Mr. Krabs finds out that Plankton is horrified of whales and uses it to his advantage. This is one of the least popular episodes due to how dark the nature is in the episode. Even for the episode, it was heavily altered. Now, how could I have seen this episode before it edited? It's simple, really. It's just one of the seven SpongeBob episodes that was revealed on the internet before it aired on TV. Always a big fan of the show. I was excited of the idea of having a SpongeBob episode premiere on the internet before television. I rapidly reloaded the Nickelodeon page and finally got the episode come up. It was known as Plankton Got Served, although it was eventually changed. Most of the episode is identical to the one that is circulated today. Plankton manages to break into the Krusty Krab and ties up Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. As he was about to finally get the secret formula from SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs' daughter Pearl walks in. This terrifies Plankton and causes him to run out. Plankton later claims his ancestors were eaten by whales and that is why he fears them so. Probably have as a phobia of whales, no doubt of what happened with Plankton. Mr. Krabs realizes that his fear that Plankton has and decides to use it against him. He dresses up as his daughter and begins to follow Plankton around, frightening him. Plankton then decides he can no longer take it and decides to make an ultimate decision. Plankton decides to take his own life. Yes, still into the show today. You are free to watch it. Plankton waits for the bus, and then he lies on the street, waiting to get run over. That was when SpongeBob comes over to try and convince him to continue his existence. This is where the alteration of, of the two versions begin. Plankton fails to heed SpongeBob's words and remains there. In the altered version that was later shown, SpongeBob tells Plankton that it was Mr. Krabs that's Pearl the entire time and he gets up. In another altered version, SpongeBob says the same thing, but Plankton refuses to believe him. SpongeBob decides that the only thing he can do now is to show him the truth, is to drag Mr. Krabs outside. Soon after, he leaves in the typical red bus coming speeding down a lawn. Plankton sits up, and he watches it hits him as everything fades to darkness. Plankton finds himself standing on the single platform, overlooking the darkness. In the darkness, he sees the whales all looking at him. There were numbers of his family he could faintly make out, calling him for him to jump down. Plankton looks above and then sees a light that he can scarcely believe. This would seem to have represent heaven and hell. Plankton, resigned to his fate, jumps and plunges down into the darkness. This is when the episode ends and the traditional credits for the show are shown, parallel to Plankton's descent into the darkness. Now, some of you may know and you see the show as soon as it becomes available online. Apparently not fast enough. After seeing the episode online, I reloaded the page to find the alternative version shown on the website. I kept reloading because I was curious on how I have seen the first version. The only answer I can imagine from my viewing of the original episode was that the creators uploaded the wrong file. And moments after uploading it, it recognized such. I may be the only one who has saw this version. I truly do not know the sick ambitions of the creators of SpongeBob had in mind in this episode. Why would a kids show portray death? Why would a kids show portray heaven and hell? Nevertheless, the unaltered version is impossible to find. I've searched as hard as I can, and I have failed to find anything legitimate about the episode I have seen. People had told me that I had only seen the altered version, and they were too surprised at the dark themes portrayed in the episode. Nevertheless, I know what I saw. I know people would fail to believe me, and people would accuse me of trying to scare people. People would say I have no evidence. There are photos. There is no video evidence of this occurrence, though. I only saw it once, and it continued to never occur to me to do as such. I know the truth, and I want people to know as well. Maybe someone out there saw this episode as well, and I could confirm it. Until then, I hope you enjoy my reading about my experience. Well, that was Plankton's Got Served. It was a pretty interesting episode, but good one. Hey, Queen, I have noticed that you like the Disney Channel show Kim Possible. I've heard of it, but never seen it. Kim Possible is actually a pretty good show. Odd Ferret Studios. I think it's on Kiss Cartoon. I think you could watch it on there, but you could also watch full episodes of it on YouTube. I mean, people post clips and the full episodes of it on YouTube. I actually used to watch Kim Possible back when I was a kid. It's a pretty good show, and I recommend you guys watch it. Alrighty, so I'm gonna probably... Which one should I... I think I'm gonna read Willy Wonka the beta tape next on this channel. I think I'm gonna read Willy Wonka the beta tape. This one's actually one of my classic favorite classic stories. So yeah, I'm gonna read that in a minute, but you know what? I'm gonna chat with you guys for a little bit. So I'm not sure exactly when I'll stream again, but I will stream again maybe, sometime next month. I know that. But I just don't know exactly what day I'm going to stream, but I will try. Who will fart next? Luann and Benny. Probably Benny. I guess it depends. Well, Lenny. Probably, that's kind of hard to say. I know Luann likes to use whoopee cushions. I mean, it's always funny when Luann uses the whoopee cushions. Yeah, it is a pretty good show. I can see Pink Wolf. It's an old show, but it's a pretty good one. Oh, nice. I like the early 2000s too. And I like the 90s too. I did hear that Barney is getting a remake. Like, there is a reboot of Barney, and I'm going to say right now, I don't really care for the reboot of Barney that much. However, I respect people's opinions if they like it or not. So, yeah. So, if people don't like the new Barney, I respect their opinions. But if they like it, that's fine. If they don't like it, then I respect their opinions. YTP, Mr. Krabs goes to the McDonald's with Patrick. Oh, geez, that'd be silly. Alrighty. What do you think of that animated logo compilation I uploaded on Valentine's Day? It was pretty good, CJB Studios. I actually like it. Yeah, it's an old show from the 2000s. Assuming you're a 2000s kid, since you probably grew up with the show. Yep, it's one of those. Have you ever saw Thomas and Friends? I actually did watch Thomas and Friends as a kid, although my brother mostly watched it because I wasn't really into it, but I did watch it a couple times with my brother. I did watch it with my brother, even though I wasn't into the show, but I watched it with my brother. He's a huge Thomas fanatic, so that's just how good my brother is into Thomas. I have never watched Thomas and Friends. Thanks. Which one of them was your favorite I made? That's kind of a hard one, CJB Studios. I do like them all. They're all pretty nice and good. Oh, how was everybody's Valentine's Day? If you don't mind me all asking, how was your Valentine's Day, everyone? Did you have a good Valentine's Day? I mean, I had a good Valentine's Day, even though I didn't do much. I ate out, got a new computer mouse, which I still love the colors that turn colors and that. It's awesome. And I basically just chilled and did nothing much. That's pretty much all I did. It was all right. Oh, that's good. Mine was pretty good because I got to talk to you and I got some chocolate candy. Ooh, nice. I got chocolate candy as well. Oh. Do you know that dolls were in the early 2000s? Yep. What dolls? I know Barbie was a popular one back then, and I think Winx Club was too, although I didn't really watch Winx Club that much because I don't know what it was, but I wasn't interested in the show back then. What are your thoughts on Bear in the Big Blue House? Pretty good show, actually. I really liked it. I really don't know if they're going to do a reboot of that show because it's like 25 years old, but if they do a reboot of the show, I really hope the reboot becomes good. Chocolate hearts. They're all good. My favorite funny pasta is that Benny took a dump. Oh, jeez. I was thinking about the conversation we had about Shadow from Bear in the Big Blue House. I decided to make a post about it, what she looks on the set. I remember that actually, because I was always wondered how they get Shadow to appear from, behind the wall and that. I mean, I was surprised. I've always wondered how they managed to do that, but I'm now I'm surprised at how they do that. I personally watched Winx Club for a little bit. I've mentioned before in one of your live streams, I also grew up with Sailor Moon. Oh, Sailor Moon was awesome. I haven't watched it in years, but Sailor Moon was awesome. Winx Club? Oh, it's a show. Barney goes on the dinosaur train. He probably eat everything on the dinosaur train. Bratz and Barbies commercial I saw in the 2000s. I think I did used to own a few Bratz dolls when I was a kid, but I probably got rid of them or something because I don't have them anymore. All right, guys, I'm going to get started with rating Willy Wonka beta tape. Are you also on DeviantArt? Yes, I am at Kid Attack. I also do have DeviantArt. I pop on there to check every now and then. I'm not active all the time because I'm limiting myself on, being on certain sites online. Like, I'm limiting myself on being on certain sites. Like, I'll pop in, check updates and stuff, and then I'll go do my own thing, and then, come back to it eventually later on. It's all that. So I am going to be reading Willy Wonka beta tape, and I think that's gonna probably be maybe the last story for the day, or I might do one more depending on how long or short it is. So yeah, okay, let's get started with Willy Wonka beta tape, one of my favorite stories. So let's get started. I heard of many stories and rumors that there was a secret hidden story behind the Willy Wonka story, but I never really believed in them. I thought of them as nothing more than mere jokes in or fan fiction. You know how people like to take things that are thought to be happy and whimsical, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and label Wonka as a child predator or some shit like that. I never took anything that seriously and just thought of them to be things with people with active, albeit creative, minds have come up with. To me, the Wonka story was nothing more than a happy and innocent story made for children to enjoy. Wait, at least that was what I thought it was until the day I decided that I would actually find out for myself. I decided to mail someone who was once acquainted with Dal. I was told not to give out about this person information wise, just to see if any of this was true. Considering nearly everyone had said something about the story, obviously having some sort of subtext about it. I thought that I would check just to be sure. I was told in the mail, and I have, quote, "You seem interested in this subject. Many people would prefer to speculate, but you're the first, first seem generally curious. Seeing as you want to know as much as you do, I will send the tape in the mail. Check within a week." It was a couple of days or later when the tape finally arrived, and it had the words, "The True Story of Willy Wonka," written on in black marker, where the only other words on it were a copyright dated 1963, a year before the book had came out. At first I thought it was strange, considering VHS tapes weren't around back then. It then occurred to me that it was possible that it may have been on film and probably put it on tape later. So I stuck the tape in and played it, after rewinding just to be sure. It started out a bit odd. For one thing, it immediately went to the title, taken directly from the first edition book cover. With no fade, it just sort of popped in, causing me to jump. But what also made me jump was what came after that. The delayed yet abrupt appearance of the music, which was loud and it sounded like some fast, angry jazz music. Anyway, it went on to the credits and showed names that I have never seen before. The only names I was able to recognize were Dal's, Patricia Neal's, and some guy named John Black. It kept looping back to the name of the animation checker for about 15 times. I generally thought it was something wrong with the tape, and right as I was about to check it out, it popped immediately to the outside of the house of the buckets, with the camera zooming in. The art style was really weird, but it was black and white, and it had an odd, misty, cloudy look to it, crosshatched. There was a deep male voice that seemed likely to be the narrator, but his voice was in horrible quality. It was muffled and such low volume that I could barely make out a word he was saying. It cut to the inside of the bucket's house, and the misty, cloudy look even looked weirder here. The people moved all wavy like and wouldn't stop moving. Much like these old Zelda CDI games, but the shading was crosshatched, which meant that there was a lot of movement. Sometimes it was hard to make out what was going on, and the characters behaved oddly. It seemed like Charlie was either gay or highly effeminate, as he spoke with a girly voice and spoke for his loves of dolls and princesses. And as it seemed everyone had feared Grandpa Joe. We later found out that he was involved in World War I, and it was never explained how, but it was clear that he was responsible for ending it. Charlie's parents also displayed odd behavior. The dad seemed depressed, and the mom seemed paranoid and suffered from the major form of obsessive compulsive disorder. The other grandparents never spoke at all. From here, it's not too difficult from the book, except for the characters and the fact that Charlie sings songs about his dresses that he wishes to wear. The story about Wonka is also slightly different. Apparently, he is a Grinch and happened to appear out of nowhere, suddenly owning an impressive factory that no one saw built. It seems like no one worked in this factory, nor did it have any problems causing it to shut down. But when Charlie finds a ticket, it happens halfway through the finding. Also, we don't see the other kids giving their interviews as they win, and the message on the ticket found in the book or any other film adaptation is absent. In fact, the ticket is blank. No mention of it being gold, but it was hard black and white, so it was hard to tell anyway. So, anyway, the big day came, and everyone is waiting at the gates. It's very similar to the book version, except there are 6 kids, and Charlie is wearing his dress, and the lines are spoken by the people are slightly changed from the book halfway through. There are talks of Wonka being a Grinch, how his factory got there, and how it got made. And there was a story about Prince Pondicherry's death, having died drowning in Wonka's chocolate palace. They talked about more stuff, but it seems as if the wind picks up, drowning them out. Though nothing is ever seen blowing, it's just a sound effect of howling wind. There are also bells that chime when it's time for the gates to open. They just shook, just like the book, and surprisingly, I can hear it through the loud howling wind. But it hits me that the chimes are not church bells, like the book describes. They're funeral bells. Very weird, but that is not the weirdest part. The weirdest part is Wonka himself. When the doors swing open, you can see a dark, shadowy figure stand at the doorway, and Wonka comes out of the room, hopping and prancing. He certainly does not appear human, although it's somewhat kind of hard to tell because of the style of cross hatching and the lack of color. Again, this isn't the weirdest part. The weirdest part is his eyes. He had a reptilian stare that quite literally sent chills down my spine. His hair kept moving, not because of the constant motion and cross hatching, it just moved all wavy like if he was underwater. The wind was even louder now, and he pranced and hopped down towards the gate. Once he arrived, he spoke strangely. I could hear his voice loud and clear, even though through the cheering and talking from the audience was barely audible. His voice was high, like explained in the book, but not the kind of high voice I expected. He sounded like Michael Jackson, speaking seductively, and as normal, the kids had to show him their tickets, which he tucked down his pants, and then they walked inside. It wasn't strange from the book from here on, except when they started to stare down the hallways, which it looked like a demented Tim Burton style artwork. They kept getting more narrow and slopping down more and more the further they went. They also seemed to have twisted as they entered each new hallway. The weird part is that there was no dialogue here except from a line from Veruca about needing to use the loo, which her father tells her it probably won't happen till the end of the tour. There was also a slow rising of the howling winds from earlier. I found it strange such a thing would appear inside a factory. They entered an even more and twisted looping looked hallway with funeral bells chiming once again. The odd thing is that the art style once they entered in this room had completely changed. While still remaining crosshatched and wavery animated, it now looked like something Tim Burton might draw. The narrator from earlier also returned, but he was somewhat clearer. I could tell it was the same voice clip from earlier, as I recognized some of the new inflections. Oddly, he didn't seem to be talking about the buckets, like I would have expected for the intro. I still find him hard to make out, but I managed to catch a few words such as Grinch Wonka, and he went on to something about the Oompa Loompas. At this point, I had goosebumps. I actually did not want to know what he was trying to say here, but I was still very curious. Then everything got interrupted by a long message found on a black screen with white text, and the writing was in another language. It looked like an odd mixture between Greek and Korean, but it somehow managed to look like a Blackadder ITC font. There was also no sound there. Everything was in total silence, though through the howling winds showed up abruptly a couple minutes in. I expected it to return to the show here, but it went on for a few more minutes before it turned to the actual show. They continued to walk through the twisted hallways. This was looking particularly messy with the shadowy figures of Wonka and the gang walking through. It changed to a side view, and everyone was still in black and shadowy, and Wonka was hopping down until an abrupt change as the funeral bells sounded once again. Then he was walking slowly. The way he was walking reminded me very much of The Undertaker from WWF, especially in his Ministry of Darkness days. Other than the obvious, what was also freaky about this was that it happened so abruptly with no traditional frames. There was, once again, no dialogue here aside from one of the kids, I assume was a girl, saying, "I don't like this, Daddy." Suddenly they walked into the chocolate room. No door or entrance. They just walked in. All sound is gone, and each of one that actually shows up is distant and echoey. When they get here, it starts to get really strange. The room looks eerily identical to the one in the 2005 Tim Burton film adaptation. It's not crosshatch, but what looked like in black and white painted style, the Chocolate River. This is the one of the most unsettling moments because the river looked like real blood, the only color element in the entire film. Not blood done in a realistic style, but as if though someone actually dipped the brush in a cup of blood and ran the brush through those parts. What made it more unsettling was that the textures it would slightly change with each frame. Quite unsettling because they were how were they able to get so much blood to make up possibly 700 or possibly more pieces of paper? But that wasn't the weirdest part. It gets worse. The room doesn't seem to function like normal, as Wonka isn't introducing anybody to any of the rooms, nor showing them around. He suddenly starts speaking about the Oompa Loompas, a group of black pygmies he had smuggled from Africa. Illegally, he adds. They were then shown, but the unsettling part is that, unlike the book, when they're happy, cheerful, and always singing and laughing, they look miserable. And each time they look at Wonka, they look terrified. They gave him a look that simply says, "Please, don't kill me." I actually heard one of them say that, although I couldn't quite tell if he said kill, as he was far away and sobbing. It had the more sound of like act rather than kill. The the camera then stayed at this point at a bird's eye view, and Wonka yelled angrily at the Oompa Loompas in a ridiculously loud voice. It was loud and high pitched and screechy. I couldn't even understand him. He could have been speaking in another language for all I know. Then he turned back to his guests and said something about them that sounded so shockingly and despicably racist. But it then continued to get worse by the end. What he ended up saying about them was just plain abysmal, as well as slightly terrifying. I wouldn't even repeat it. It was so bad that even a white supremacist would be offended by it. Now, I am not that super sensitive, politically correct type that thinks blacks could do no wrong, nor that I'm not a racist either. But even I was distraught about what he had just said. The salts revealed to be racist, not surprisingly, but even they were offended. Anyway, the old Viking boat arrived, but it had some odd reptilian designs to it. The gang got in, and I heard Veruca said, "Daddy, I want lots of things, but I don't want a dreadful boat like this." But that was all I could hear. The gang did talk, but their voices were drowned out by a group of crying Oompa Loompas and overly sailing on the boat with the chocolate or blood river. They ended up going through a dark tunnel, and it was very close to the film with Gene Wilder. You know, that psychedelic tunnel ride, but I could barely make out any of them what they were styled and made, and that it was pretty convoluted. Veruca commented about her underpants being drenched in pee. The sixth child, who spoke some of Violet's lines from the film. "What is this? A freak out?" I was obviously baffled of who this was, although I noticed Augustus was gone, although I assumed he fell into the Chocolate River. Anyway, Wonka sang his rowing song like in the film, although he's saying it to how closer Marilyn Manson sang it, but with extra vibrato. The fast, angry jazz music from the intro shows up once again. It seems odd and out of place. I kept seeing the letters JB pop up in the background. John Black? And then and the images became more clear. The background images show Oompa Loompas crying and then some of the singing something in some kind of odd African language. Then Wonka's song starts turning into some sort of bizarre language. It sounded like some sort of Yiddish chant until halfway through where it starts to have a slight hint of German men in it. His eyes got bigger, his mouth grows larger, and his teeth begin to make a sudden change to being sharp and snake-like. It then pauses right then in his face for a few minutes, and the funeral bells return. The narrator from the beginning also shows up again, but halfway through rather than staring out from the beginning. His voice was now very clear. He mentions the Oompa Loompas being illegally smuggled from a deep dark forest in Africa and what peaceful lives they lived. But there were shocking mention of horrid things Mr. Wonka did to smuggle them. Again, I will not repeat them. He was about to speak about what happened to them and on how the factory got there, but it immediately skips to another room where I could barely make out anything going on. If no one said anything, I would have never guessed it was the venting room. From there, I just keep skipping to different rooms, a child disappearing each time. Here, however, it seems that no one knows how they disappear. The sixth child, I still don't know who she is, but I think I heard someone refer to her as Miranda, unless that was the name of any of the one of the parents, who are mostly unnamed in the book, but I'm pretty sure what they were referring to this mysterious six children. At least she spoke when the name was said. But there were funeral bells here, so it was hard to tell if she responded to them. Anyway, the last room they appear features Wonka making sick powder. The sixth girl does not seem very pleased about this, and Wonka gets extremely angry about this and shouts angrily right in her face. Again, loud, screeching, and unintelligible. The fact that it was not distant, it made it even worse. It sounded so loud, it even echoed throughout the room. The girl then runs inside the door where it's being made. Then it cuts to Wonka's face, zooming in closer and closer. He has a huge evil grin about him. Very spooky. I hated to keep looking, but I had to see what was to come, so I reluctantly did so. Some weird noises that resemble one of those creepy background sounds or music you hear on something like the History Channel. You probably know what I'm talking about or and heard, but they're kind of muted and muffled sounding. Wonka's face, once it zoomed in closer and closer, it started to show some disturbing texture that looked kind of reptilian. It appears that his eyes were getting wider, his pupils slowly morphed into slits, and his teeth once again became sharp and snake-like. Then everything goes silent, and the black screen with white text appears once again, looking at us last time half Greek and half Korean. Then Wonka begins to chant something in what sounded like Yiddish. It was clearer from the different chant than last time. It then showed a hints of German in it as well. Well, but then it flickered to a pretty much a low Lord like last time. But then it just flickered to a English transition. But it happened way too fast. Too fast for me to stop and read it, that is. When it went back to where it was a still picture of the group, standing near the room, but with nothing more than funeral bells being heard. It would lasted for a few minutes, and then it started to go into motion again. And once the funeral bells sounded, then I heard someone shout, "Miranda!" So that was her name. Anyway, these two run off into another room. As Wonka stared down at Charlie, I honestly had particularly forgotten he was there because he was barely shown throughout the whole thing. In fact, Violet and this mysterious Miranda girl were shown the most. I felt like Mike and Violet were not even in this one, considering their names were never spoken. I had also forgotten he was wearing a dress. I probably thought that was Violet or something like that. I heard him speak again, and I remember he was highly gay or highly effeminate, as Wonka went on telling him that he won, but instead of taking him directly, though, for the great glass elevator or whatever, he told him to wait a minute. And then he hopped off into another room. He found every one of the kids in there, except for Miranda. He said something I did not quite understand. It was English, but it had a rather convoluted meaning. The children lying down on the floor could be heard crying and moaning, similar to the Oompa Loompas. The parents could not be seen anywhere. He then turned on the radio and slowly began to strip. The one thing that gave me goosebumps was that what was playing on the radio. Melodonically, it reminded me of one of those songs you would hear from an old Mario game when you fight Bowser, despite it being one of that typical style you often hear during the early 60s, such as the Beatles and the Monkees. But it was only one singer only. It sounded as though if the keyboardist did not know exactly how to play it right, but it wasn't the weirdest part. The weirdest part is this. But of course, it was just really anyway. I could also not picked up, but of course, but now it sounded like a distorted old radio, like if it was from the 60s. But it was more in the background, so it was a little hard to hear. Also, when it wasn't super loud. Anyway, I couldn't pick out the exact lyrics, but I do remember him mentioning to some freaky shit that would happen to a bunch of different people by 2014. It was like a bunch of random names being spurted out, but he obviously seemed to have know who they were. But what they were going to have happen to them is too horrible to mention. I wouldn't even remember half of them. It took a second for me to sink back into the video as my mind drifted away, absolutely stunned by the music. And when I did, I saw Wonka took his shirt and throw it off, then finally dropped down to the ground. After the credits roll, all the sound was gone from there. Appearing again were the odd names from the intro. I kept rolling to see if anything came on after this, only to find a message that was placed at the end that seemed to have been put in later. The look quality and style of it looked like an early 90s feel to it. It read, "Don't let Felicity know," and then the tape stopped. I didn't know who Felicity was until I looked it up. It found out that it was a name of Dal's second wife. As you may guess, I was quite shocked by what I had seen, but also relatively confused about what any of this was. I went in again and asked the person who had sent me the tape, and this is what he told me. Obviously, this is how Dal originally written the book. He always made films of these books before he wrote them, so he could keep track of every idea he had, and also check to see if the lines where the characters spoke outside of not just being read. What happened from there and how it ended up, I really do not know. I also do not know him long enough, but I also started to question the man after I got a hold of this tape. I then asked the person if they wanted the tape, but they refused and seemed glad enough to get rid of it. Although they did not want it to be gone forever, they still wanted proof and the information to stick around. Ever since I saw this tape, I have been looking around to see if I can get any information on it anywhere, and so far, I cannot seem to find anything. Well, that was a pretty good Willy Wonka creepypasta. Hello, Digit, welcome. Do you think a Loud House Stressful Event might be a good episode for season 7? I can honestly see that being the case. I really hope that happens. Ackley Attack. Hello, Super Tuck the puppy. I'm sorry to say this, but I hate the word girly, mainly because I keep hearing people say something that is too girly, say about a TV show or something else. I understand. The Odd Ferret Studios. I have a deviant art, but when I get my computer and tablet situation, then I'll post my art. Nice. Willy Wonka tape gets a copyright strike. Yeah, it does seem ironic given that Johnny Depp's take on Willy Wonka was based off Michael Jackson. That was pretty interesting. I actually like that version of the movie, CJB Studios. Lori Loud farts in her own sleep. Okay, that was a creepy pasta story. Very twisted. Yep, it sure was very twisted, to be honest. I honestly really liked it. Okay. Since we're almost at an hour and a half of the live stream, I'm just going to chat for the rest of the stream. So, yeah, I'll be chatting for the rest of the stream. I'm not going to be reading anymore today because I'm done, pretty much, because I read a couple stories. Some were short, but that one was like the longest one, which was the Willy Wonka one. Oh, yeah, I did upload on my backup channel too, guys. So after the stream, that could be something you guys can go see. This is just for me, but I find the fact that some users hate on kids shows because, in the words, they're too babyish and I'm too old for these shows really dumb because I have autism and I like a few. Well, I like a few shows that were for younger kids too, and if people want to say, oh, why you're watching kid shows, well, I don't really care. I mean, lots of people watch, kid shows. I mean, not everybody does, but you get the idea of what I'm talking about. From the 2 creepypasta tapes, I would like to ask Lion Queen, can you do a Shadows and Pretties on Ringu? I'll consider it, although I have not seen it, so I will consider that. Blaze the Firewolf, I will consider taking a look at it if I have the time, so there's going to be no guarantees, but I will consider giving it a go. Let's see. I'm also on DeviantArt as well. Nice. What would happen if the Barney Bunch went to Las Vegas? If the Barney Bunch went to Las Vegas, I can honestly see, I can honestly see something crazy go downhill pretty quickly. I can honestly see, the Barney Bunch, I can honestly see them going crazy, so That's one thing I can definitely say. Is that, they probably unleashed their swellness. See. The Barney Bunch goes to Subway. Actually, there had been a couple Barney Bunch videos where they go to Subway. They're actually quite funny. Oh, yeah. The Story Bunch go to Vegas? Oh, that'd be something. I can honestly see that happening. That'd be cool. Which one of the two pranks do you think Luann would take to extreme? Lincoln drinking a huge amount of red cups or Lenny using some disinfectant wipes for removing makeup? Probably the Lenny one. I mean, Lincoln drinking a huge amount of red cups. I mean, it depends on what kind of drink it is, to be honest. "2023 in a nutshell. Everyone hates Velma and Puss in Boots 2 becomes a meme." I actually really made a video on, me explaining why I don't like the new Velma show. It's not even Scooby Doo. I did stated a bunch of times that it's just a poor excuse of Scooby Doo, and even the actress for Daphne criticized Velma real good. I mean, she criticized the show Velma. I mean, I remember seeing that, and I honestly don't blame her for criticizing how bad and awful the show Velma is. To be honest, like, I mean, I don't blame her, though, to be honest, for criticizing it. You're still working on fashion of pranking for next time? If I could find some plot or something of what it can do with it, I might consider making that story. No guarantees, though, but Toy Story 5 is happening. I actually heard about that. I mean, I was like, are they seriously making a fifth one? Like, that's something. Like, I mean, I kind of expected them to make like a fifth one or something, but just didn't know when. Okay. Speaking of which, did you hear another Scooby Doo film got canceled recently? The Hex Girls were going to be in it. Oh, what movie was it going to be about? Like, what Scooby Doo movie? I mean, since it's going to include the Hex Girls, I mean, damn it. I mean, I really want another Scooby Doo movie with the Hex Girls in it. Like, I like them in Witches, Ghost, and Vampire, Legend of the Vampire. I really hope we get to see the Hex Girls more often. I really wished Scooby Doo would make another movie where they have the Hex Girls in it more often. It was called Scooby Doo and the Haunted Rise. I wonder what that was going to be about. I'm sorry, Lion Queen. I do have a few good ideas for Shadows and Pretties. I've seen so many movies and played video games. Well, at least you're putting in ideas, Blaze the Firewolf, so that's pretty good. All right. I'm going to be live for another few more minutes, and then I'll end the stream. If Zootopia 2 comes out, which So I'd watch it. I'd watch it too. I wonder what Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Rise movie was going to be about with the Hex Girls that got canceled. I mean, you know what? I could probably maybe look that up. Never go back to the barnyard. Those YTPs would be pretty funny. I despise Velma so much. It could have been better if they changed the races and Finagles to the characters. Velma in the show doesn't feel like anything like Velma I know. I agree. Like, I mean, the Velma show was just honestly garbage. The new one. Oh, I actually found Scooby-Doo cancel movies. So it was basically a musical film, mystery film that was going to plan to feature the Hex Girls. Let me see what the plot of it is going to be about. Ah, damn it. Okay, so this is what the results of it was going to be. The film was finished into recording and was about to go in animations when Warner Bros. Discovery canceled it and turned it to a tax write-off. The feature was going to film brand new songs from the musical extravaganza and was fully finished when the production of the film was shut down. Ah, shit, that sucks. I really wish they didn't cancel it because I've always liked it. I mean, that sucks that it got canceled because, it would have been pretty interesting. Like, I maybe Shaggy would have asked for an out or something. At least something would have been good, and the movie could have had potentially been good if it was released. But unfortunately, it's not there. So yeah, all we could do is just use our imagination for it. I love the Bratz dolls. Nice. Yeah, Velma was just garbage, to be honest. I don't really care for the new Velma series. I made a post about a couple days ago and I told Lisa Garcia that you would not be happy about it since you confirmed to me that the Hex Girls are some of your favorite characters. Yep. Sure, the Hex Girls are my favorite characters. Oh, it's a new TV series on HBO Max, Drew C, and I could definitely say the new Velma sucks. I used to play with Littlest Pet Shop toys, but I stopped at 12 years old, but I still have the toys. I still have the LPS Littlest Pet Shop toys too. I plan to keep them because if I have a girl, like a daughter, I definitely would give them to her so she could play with them. Because I had fun playing with them when I was younger. You reading Luann and Benny's 30 OTP challenge for the next stream? I'll consider it, but no guarantees. Aki Attack. Scooby-Doo and Carriage Cowardly Dog crossover. That one was a pretty good crossover. I'm not gonna lie. It has really good storyline in it. It was awesome. Why is it that Velma had a chance to survive, but none of the other Scooby-Doo projects did? Not only that's unfair, but it's also just plain ridiculous. I agree, CJB Studios, because I don't know what the hell is up with these people that sit there and just make a movie about Scooby-Doo, and they were originally going to have the Hex Girls, but then they just dumped it and said, nope, we're not going to do it. We'll do something else. Like, make up your mind, people. Like at Warner Bros., we want these films that were never released to the public. But unfortunately, that's movie companies. Scooby-Doo has a crossover of Paw Patrol and Clifford the Big Red Dog. I could honestly see it somewhat working with Paw Patrol. I mean, that'd be kind of interesting to see. Scooby-Doo meets Captain Arg in Luann and Benny's OTP week. Oh, I think it would have been awesome if Scooby-Doo had like a cameo appearance in the Loud House. I know they did a Barney Easter egg in there. I think they did SpongeBob at one point as well. So it's pretty interesting. Okay, so in a minute or two, I will be ending the stream. So if anyone has anything they want to say, anything they want to ask me, feel free to say it now. And yes, I will be keeping the stream up, so you guys will see the stream. So you guys can also check out the other videos I uploaded today on my main and backup channel after the stream. So yeah. If anything, it's David Zacky's fault. At least Scoob Holiday Hunt had a chance to get it finished despite it being canceled. I'd love to watch the Velma show burn. Blaze would ignite it with it since it's an abomination. Oh, I definitely would light it on fire. Okay. So, does anyone have anything else they want to say before I end the stream? And you guys can go check out the new upload, Silent Ponyville free, the prologue I just uploaded today. So, you guys can go check that out after the stream. Did you hear rumors going on that there's going to be a second season of Velma? I hope it's not true. Oh, God. I mean, just thinking about the new Velma just makes me cringe. It's just awful. The new show Velma is just awful. It's like there's no effort into it. That's literally what it is. If anyone asks why shows on Nick Jr. and Nick gets canceled, the answer is because of Paw Patrol, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Loud House. Have you heard of Dora the Explorer? I actually have watched Dora the Explorer. I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid. Although I'm not a crazy fan of it now, but I did watch it when I was a kid. Okay. Which is annoying orange video your favorite? I really don't have a favorite because I haven't watched it in a while, so. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream in a minute, so does anybody have anything they want to ask me? Does anybody have anything they want to ask me? Any comments or anything before I end the stream? Yeah, my God, I hope there's no season 2 of Velma. Seriously, despite it being diverse and the main character is very unlikable, mean-spirited character. God, I really hope there's no season 2 of Velma. I never watched much Dora. I was more into a show called Ni Hao Kai Lan. Ni Hao Kai Lan, in my opinion, some people thought it was a ripoff of Dora. I don't know why some people thought it was a ripoff of Dora, but some people thought that show was like a complete ripoff of Dora. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it felt like it was a ripoff of Dora for some people. But to me, I didn't really think it was. I used to think it was when I was younger, though. Teen years, pretty much. Home Alone Luann is a good love for a Loud House episode. You like the soundtrack I made? Yep, I did. I'll take a look at it if I can, CJB Studios. I did see it, though. Bye, guys. All right, Drew C. Thank you for joining. I have heard. To answer your question, Bliss Smith, I have seen Dora as a kid. I have heard of it. I might do a creepypasta on Dora, depending on if I could find a good one. No guarantees when that will be, though. Okay, so I'm going to be ending the stream now, guys. So I want to say right now, thank you so much for popping up on the stream. Thank you so much for listening into the stories that I've narrated on here. He's like, zoinks, man. So, anyways, I'm going to be seeing you guys all in the next stream. I don't know when I'll stream next month, but I will try and stream maybe on the weekend or something, depending on if I get the opportunity. Also, be sure to check out my 2 uploads on my main channel. You know, if you have not seen that. Also, be sure to check out my backup channel's video today, because I just uploaded them. So, yeah, anyways, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out. Like always, see you all next time.